Jesse Livermore called it the itch for excitement. He said it was poison, and I think he was right. But here's the part he never answered. You already know you should wait. You've read the books, you've heard it 100 times. Wait for the setup. Wait for confirmation. Sit on your hands. You know this. And still, the chart moves toward your level. Something in your chest shifts. And before you've fully decided, you click. Not because the setup was ready, because something else was. That's what this video is about. Livermore named the symptom perfectly. He saw that impatience costs traders fortunes. He traced it to the craving for action, for movement, for being in the game. What he described is real. The mechanism is real. But he stopped one step short. He never asked, why is the itch there? Not as a character flaw, not as weakness, but as information. What you call impatience is actually intolerance. Intolerance of not knowing. Intolerance of uncertainty. Intolerance of sitting flat while the market moves and feeling like you're being left behind. The entry doesn't feel like impatience. It feels like relief. That distinction matters, because if it's relief you're after, you're not managing a trade, you're managing discomfort, and the market is the tool you're using to do it. Picture Tuesday, market's open. You've been watching this level for 3 days. Nothing, slow grind, no volume, no direction. You're calm, focused, you know what you're waiting for. Then the price starts moving toward your zone. Your breathing changes, nothing dramatic, just slightly tighter. A thought forms, this looks good enough. Then another, quieter. If I wait, I might miss it. Notice what happens next. Waiting starts to feel like hesitation. Hesitation starts to feel like weakness. And your mind, very quickly, very smoothly, builds a cleaner story. I'm anticipating. I see it early. This is an experience. The justification feels like thinking. It moves fast. It sounds like your strategy. It arrives already dressed in the language of your system. But it didn't start there. It started somewhere lower, in the chest, in the tightening, and the mind followed, building the case for what the body had already decided. You click, relief, for a moment. Then price pulls back against you. The mechanism changes shape. Before entry, it was urgent to act. Now it's urgent to be right. You hold. Not because structure holds, because closing means exposure, because being wrong feels personal, or price moves slightly in your favor. Green numbers appear, and immediately you imagine them disappearing. Your body leans forward. Take it. You close early. Price continues without you. That small sting becomes fuel for the next early entry. The cycle doesn't begin with the click. It begins with discomfort. The click is just where the discomfort goes. Here's the part Livermore never said out loud. The decision happened before the reasoning. Your body moved first. Your mind explained it second. And if that's true, then adding more rules won't fix it. Because whatever is moving you will simply learn to move within the rules. It waits at the edge of your system. It finds the almost there setup. It builds the story that sounds correct. The rules help, they buy time. But the thing underneath the rules, that continues. So what is that thing? Look closely at the moment right before the click. Not the justification. Before the justification, something is there. Not fear exactly, not greed. Something that needs to be in the trade in order to feel like a trader. Livermore said traders chase action because they must have cards in their hands. That's the surface. Go one layer down. When you're flat, when you have no position, do you feel present in the market? Or do you feel like you're watching from outside, like you don't count, Like you're not really a trader until you're in something. That's not impatience, that's identity. The trade is doing something for you that has nothing to do with the trade. It's making you feel real in the market. Present, counted, engaged. And when price moves toward your level, and that feeling of almost there builds, what rises isn't eagerness to profit. It's the intolerance of one more moment of feeling like you're not fully here. The market didn't create that. It only revealed it. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to do with that, but I want to ask one question. The last time you clicked early, can you feel in your body what was moving you? Not the reasoning, not the story you told yourself after, the actual thing. If you can find that, just find it, not fix it. Something becomes available, not control, not suppression. A gap, a small gap between the urge and the click, a moment of seeing what's actually moving you. That gap is the only place where a real choice can happen, and it doesn't come from more rules. It comes from looking honestly at what's there. I want to slow down here. What I just pointed at isn't something to apply. It's not a technique. It's not a correction. Most traders, when they recognize this pattern, immediately try to fix it. They add a rule. They build a checklist. They try to manufacture patience. And sometimes that works, for a while. But what's underneath doesn't change. The intolerance of not knowing, the need to be in something to feel real. That continues. It finds the edge of the new rule. It waits. Livermore sat flat for weeks, sometimes months. People thought he was idle. But he wasn't idle. He was watching, reading the tape, feeling the market breathe. What made that possible wasn't discipline. Or not only discipline, it was that at some point he stopped needing to be in a trade to feel like a trader. That's the shift. Not a technique, not a practice, a different relationship to what the trade means. And you can't think your way to that. You can only see your way there. Slowly, trade by trade, by catching the moment before the click and looking at what's actually there, without immediately trying to make it disappear. The market is neutral. The pressure isn't coming from the chart. It's coming from the gap between what is happening and what some part of you needs to happen. That gap is where impatience lives. And seeing that clearly, without judgment, doesn't make the itch go away. But it changes what the itch means. It becomes information, not about the chart, about you. If this pattern feels familiar, if something in what I described landed in a way you recognize, I look at patterns like this every week here. Not to teach you how to trade better, but to look at what trading shows us about ourselves. Come back when it feels right. Trade well. See clearly.